Hello again. Oh, thank you. I appreciate you coming. Welcome. Come on in. Relax. This is your second appointment. Am I right? And I so appreciate you being here. And I am here to help you. My name is Mike. This channel is called Street Smarts, a logistical approach. Okay, when somebody says the term street smarts, they might think something negative. They might think, well, that is a that's a bad personality trait. That's something you're going to learn how to get over. You're going to learn how to lie. You're going to learn how to hustle. Well, yes. In fact, that can be, what street smarts is to some people. I've learned over time and many years of teaching cognitive development that you can also have street smarts as an extra sensory. You can use it as an application to help further you so that you are successful. Okay, street smarts cannot be taught in a college, just like the term enthusiasm. Okay, enthusiasm is something that you can't teach. Enthusiasm, it's got to be something that you visualize. It's something that comes from your heart and your mind, that takes you to a better place. Okay, street smarts to me is the same thing. Okay, it takes you to a better place. It gives you an advantage, and you need every advantage you can get. Right? When I utilize the term cognitive in terms of cognitive development and what that means to me, how I apply it. Cognitive is to take all of the unrealistic reasons you would attempt to do something, okay, things that are like shortcuts or bad behavior or a bad decision, the thought process that goes into doing something bad, okay. Cognitive development is the opposite, okay. That's utilizing a thought process that's based on reality, that's based on no shortcuts, that based on to be able to motivate you to wanting to do the right thing, utilizing a sense of street smarts. Okay. The other thing about street smarts too is that it's a form of protection. If you go abound with all of your, with no mentality for any type of defense mechanism, against, there's a lot of bad things that can happen to you. More bad than good. Easier to do something wrong than it is good. Am I right? So when you have the mentality of, I have that peripheral vision going where I'm watching things around me to make sure and I'm on guard so that this doesn't happen bad to me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, in the wintertime, do you not wear a coat? Okay, if you have a headache, don't you take an aspirin so it doesn't get worse? These are just things that, we don't think about, we just do. Well, that should also be the case, something that just locked in, that happens, that takes over, so that you have a protection barrier. So today's lesson, today's appointment is dedicated to the word empathy. I shouldn't say word, but I think that it's a social skill. It's empathy, and I'm going to really drive home exactly and objectively what I mean. When I've had a lot of cognitive development courses, I work at a penitentiary. Okay, I work at a prison. And I've had thousands of relationships with people that have graduated on and paroled and are back into the world living successfully. Some come back because they didn't learn, right? Well, cognitive development classes throughout the years, I've had sometimes prisoners would come to me and say, if I forget about all this, officer, what exactly can I go back to that I can remember? Just one thing to make it easy for me. And I've thought about this throughout the years, and I came up with the fact that that if you utilize empathy, if you utilize the social skills, the social set of empathy, you will solve 90% of your problems. Okay, if you have an awareness around you, then that is very selfless. If your circle is so small that you can only, tunnel vision and see only that's right in front of your face day in and day out, you understand that's a bit selfish, okay? You have to have that selfless approach of seeing 360 or to the best of your ability. Empathy is the ability and the understanding to try to understand what somebody else is going through, how that affects you and how that makes you successful and protects you. Well, guess what? Are you married? Do you have empathy for your husband? Do you have empathy for your wife? Does it make sense? Is it becoming clear that if you understand what they're going through day in and day out, and you work cohesively with that, that perhaps that might be a prescription to make things better? If you own a business, if you are at work, if you have co-workers, if you have empathy day in and day out, and ever-changing, moods change and so on, can't you see how that could help you, okay? Whether you're going into a business negotiation, you're buying a house, you have to empathize with all the facets of it, the agent involved, the person who's selling the house, who's representing the homeowner that you're going to negotiate with to buy their home. The inspectors involved, the township, the municipality, everything. Empathy goes on and on. If you're a coach, if you're mentoring your youngsters, your players, you can't not think of an instance where you could utilize empathy, okay? So it only makes sense that you can incorporate it very easily. I'm going to bring up two terms, and then I'm going to finish on the empathy as to the importance of it. For whatever reason, I've tried to put my mind around this, but sometimes if you pull up empathy, you'll also see two other words. You'll also see apathy and sympathy, okay? Now, what empathy, apathy, and sympathy have in common, the common denominator in those, is that those are a specific feeling that you have, okay? Let's stop with empathy for a hot minute. Apathy is the feeling of nothingness, okay? Apathy is the willingness to do nothing, okay? Apathy can be lazy. Apathy can be antisocial. If you lack a feeling for anything that includes other people, then apathy comes into the play when you do something wrong and then there's a victim, or there is the receiving end of some negativity on a decision you made because you had apathy, no feeling for what that person or what this bad result was. So if you have to have a feeling for something going into a process of making a decision, if you have apathy, then you have nothingness. And I will just, my resolve, my statement on apathy for you is avoid it like the plague. There are going to be people that you're going to realize through empathy, you will understand apathy and how it applies to other people. You say, wow, that person's lazy. That person is not really doing anybody any favors, up to and including their self. They're utilizing apathy. Avoid it like the plague. Apathy. Avoid it like the plague. Now moving on to sympathy. Okay, sympathy is a term, a word. When you see it, it sounds soft, okay? It sounds like something that you would, okay, I feel bad for somebody. That's my humanitarian approach. Who's going to be mad at me for feeling bad, especially when they have, something's happened and they deserve our sympathy, okay? Yes. Okay. Stop at that point right there. Sympathy is good, okay? There's bereavement, there's grieving, there's bad news. We have a right to be sympathetic, okay? But there has to be a limit. There has to be a limit to sympathy, okay? Be careful in your relationships. Be careful regarding other people. People they know that if you feel sorry for them, then that gives them an excuse for more bad behavior, if you would. Sympathy is good under lots of circumstances, but put a limit on it, because then you understand you can cross the line into being a codependent. Now sympathy goes to the point of allowing bad behavior. Do we all know somebody who their son or their daughter is a spoiled, rotten brat, and the second you say something like, wow, don't you think you need that? Whoa, let me stop you right there. Not my child, not my son. You won't be talking about my daughter, okay? Well, there's a lot of that goes on in today's day and age. Will that person regroup and grow? Hopefully. Maturity takes place, hopefully. But sometimes you see where sympathy goes a bit too far. I mean, back in the day, there was a time where, the woman would be in a bad relationship, and, there would be a domestic abuse take place. She calls the police show up, then she goes, okay, I want to drop the charges. Now I love him again. Well, they've changed all that. Someone's going to jail. You understand? But there was a long time, and the reason why they switched that up was too many times a woman, would stay with a man in an abusive relationship. Go figure. Go figure. They are enabling, okay? Yes, poor girl, she's getting beat by this man. Does that happen? Yes, unfortunately. But dang it, the hell's she still doing with him? Well, that sympathetic approach, okay, can lead to codependency. Above all, let me end sympathy with this. Do not feel sorry for yourself. That is an ultimate weakness. Nothing good comes from it, okay? Especially if you just keep thriving on it, okay? Yes, grief is good. Yes, you can sustain some bad news, and you can grieve it for one day or a week, or the loss of somebody. And even if it's so hard to get that negativity out of your heart, you got to keep trying, okay? So be careful about sympathy, and be very, very careful about feeling sorry for yourself. That can really go wrong for you. Okay, I'm going to end it up with empathy again. If you have empathy, if you continue to try to have empathy, and it's not hard, okay? You can keep an eye on things in your peripheral vision. You can chew gum and walk at the same time. It's not that hard. It's not like a repetitive physical exercise that you have to remind yourself like an exam, okay? But please be conscious to empathy. If you utilize empathy, and if you utilize it well, it's something you can get really good at. Let me tell you something. You become very powerful. You become very powerful here. You become very powerful here, okay? Empathy is very positive, okay? And it doesn't take much. You can actually, you can call it analytical. You're analyzing somebody. I'm only going to say one secret about utilizing empathy. Keep it under your vest, okay? Keep your circle so small that you're utilizing empathy, but you got to keep it to yourself, okay? If you tell somebody, I'm watching you, I'm keeping track of you, okay, I'm gonna, because this, well, guess what? Now, don't you think that person, if they're up to no good, they're gonna double down on how to, change, chameleon-like? They're gonna try to be a little more artificial. They're never gonna stop getting over, okay? And if you let them know you're on to them, they're all the more going to be on to you. Keep empathy in here, okay? Use it, become more powerful, hence become more successful, okay? So empathy, use it, use it, use it. Apathy, avoid it like the plague. Sympathy, okay, to a limit, okay? Anyways, again, gosh, I'm so happy that you're here. This is appointment number 2. Next week is appointment number 3, and I totally expect you to be there. Thanks very much. By the way, could you please give me a thumbs up? Could you please give me a like? And if you hit that subscribe button, that's the trifecta I've been looking for. Okay? If you don't do any of those things, guess what? You're still welcome. I so much appreciate you. Take care.